I'm bored again. So that means it's time for another Hunter x Hunter video, yay! This one is gonna be a tier list video that's catfishing as an intellectual analysis video. Maybe a decade ago this would have been an actual analysis video, but this anime and manga are getting old as fuck right now. With the exception of Troupe, all of the antagonists in Hunter x Hunter have taken at least one life. So taking that into account, I'm gonna use that as the baseline for this tier list. The further up the tier list I place a character will be determined on my poor sense of humor and how offended I am with their actions, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of logic. And most importantly, this is just for fun. Anyway, I'm talking too damn much. The tier at the bottom will be not too bad. It's for characters who have killed, but don't do any extra shit or unnecessary bullshit. The next tier will be Bad Hunter, and this is for characters that do a bit much, but they don't go full overboard with it. The tier above that will be Life Without Parole, which is for characters who can never be redeemed. Side note here, but not every character needs to be redeemed. And the final tier will be Banished to the Dark Continent with Knuckles' APR attached to them for the worst of the worst. Death would be too kind to them, and they deserve to suffer for their actions. With that out of the way, let me start this off with Hisoka. I'm not gonna lie, not even Harvey Specter and Saul Goodman could defend this man, so I'm not even gonna bother explaining my enjoyment of this character. Typically, Hisoka fans will defend that man by saying him getting bricked at the sight of Gon and Killua at Greed Island is simply because he gets rocked at the thought of fighting challenging opponents, as well as the thought of someone with potential being fully ripe for the picking. They will say how he isn't attracted to children despite him checking out some preteen boy butt. The man is sick, and in spite of that, I love him. I love the fact that he's sick. It is what it is. Putting that to the side though, he told Illumi to back off from killing Gon after the Hunter exam. He helped Gon and Killua in Greed Island when he didn't have to. He was even worried for Gon's well-being after the events of the Chimera Ant arc. Now yes, those were all for selfish reasons, but he could be a lot worse. He isn't outside indiscriminately killing people left and right. Now, is his body count high? Probably. I want to say that he caught the most bodies on screen, but that doesn't matter. I believe his good outweighs his bad. Oh man, that doesn't even sound believable. Fuck it man, he's stuck and not too bad. Moving on to the Phantom Troupe, the easiest thing would be to just lump them all together, but nah. Some of those members are a bit more heinous than the others. Just because they massacred the Chrollo clan for their eyes to make a quick buck, doesn't mean I should banish them all to the Dark Continent just because I like Kurapika. If it was Killua, then yeah, but it's not. So let me go through this roster. First we got Benolanov, who hasn't really done shit. I'm keeping him at not too bad. Part of me wants to put his tribe at the top of the list for their practices of filling their bodies with holes, but I'll respect their culture. Life's already tough walking around like a slice of Swiss cheese, so I'll just let him and his tribe be for now. Same thing with Franklin here. I know he shot up an auction and it was pretty shocking, but it was merely catching some bodies. Actually, nah, forget that. Despite being an original member of the Spider, he is so invested in the Spider's survival that he's fine with members dying, as those positions can always be filled in the future. Because he's so strict in this regard, he's willing to lose his buddies, and anyone who's willing to lose their buddies has got to at least be placed in a Bad Hunter tier. Shizuku, I'm going to stick you in not too bad. She really just follows orders and sucks people off from across the room. I mean, she sucks people up from across the room. Blinky sucks people. Blinky sucks things. Non-living. Fuck. I kinda wanna put you in Life Without Parole for having one of the easiest outfits to cosplay as. Especially considering that I've seen more cosplays of her than of Gon and Killua, the two main characters of the show. Which is insane to me. But whatever, it's not her fault. Okay, Shalnark. Honestly, there was no reason for him to be smiling as much as he did. Everyone else minus Uvo was always looking dead in the face like they hated their lives. Kinda like me when I have to wake up early in the morning to head to work. Sharnark wants to be fake smiling all the time when there's nothing to smile about. Ain't shit funny over there. So fuck out of here with that fake positivity bullshit. So what you're telling me is that you enjoy all the blood that your gang has shed and you have no remorse whatsoever. I'm moving you up, man. I'm moving you up to Bad Hunter. There's something wrong with you. I can't prove it, and I'll never be able to prove it given what's happened. Alright, Troupe, I'm not gonna lie, off rip, you're going to life without parole. No one can convince me otherwise that Troupe is not a fucking scammer. What kind of prior life would one need for them to have the Nen ability to be like Troupe? Yo, the Nen ability that someone has typically tells you a lot about the Nen user. So what does Troupe's Nen say about him? Scammer, exactly! I can't fuck with you off of that alone. Everyone else is out here catching bodies left and right, and you're out here scamming people with fake shit to make some quick cash. I don't care how rich the people he was conning out of their money were. I can already hear some people saying that I'm on some bullshit for this specific ranking, but how many of y'all will be fine with spending a lot of money on something only to find out that you've been duped? Don't play with me and my hard-earned money. Life without parole, die in there, bitch. Okay, Machi. Yeah, moving on. Alright, so Nobunaga is a tough one for me. It was nice seeing him shed some thug tears for the dead homie, but he's kind of a crash out and will not hesitate to cut some children down. Say what you want about Hisoka, but not even the clown ever threatened to kill some kids. And no, this right here doesn't count. So for that alone, Nobunaga is gonna go into Bad Hunter. Never threaten to kill any minors, y'all. Now this little Phaeton here is an easy— Get the fuck out of here! He is the head manager of torture in the squad. Killing is one thing, but going the extra mile to prolong someone's suffering is easily a next level of sickness that I don't even want to begin getting into. Not to mention the fact that Phaeton has to have done this long enough to the point that he grew numb to it. Either that or it's never bothered him, which is all the more reason to dump his ass off raw. No net. Next. Alright, so Finks, unlike Phaeton, is gonna be put into Bad Hunter. The thing with Finks is that he has hot-headed tendencies, similar to Phaeton, but Finks is the hothead who can step back and reassess a situation. You ever seen two hot-headed friends together and one of them is always the one to keep things from escalating? And you'd never know that they themselves were a hothead until they finally lost their shit and seems to be the even bigger hothead of the two. Well, that's kind of Finks. While Phaeton is outside wanting to rip off children's fingernails, Finks is out here taking off the clothes off of his back to clothe a half-naked fellow member. Crazy how small acts of kindness can keep you out of a whole other tier. I'll even overlook Killua losing the skin around his ankles because of Finks holding on to him. Pakunoda, my girl! I'm keeping her not too bad. She was for the group more so than she was for the spider, if that makes any sense. And it's simply because of how selfless she was, and how she wanted everyone to continue to live on, wanting her death to be the end of their pursuit of Kurapika. Generally, if you're an antagonist that has a soft side, I'm almost always gonna fold. As with Pakunoda, it's a similar deal with Uvo for me. I'm putting my guy in not too bad as well. He really held it down for gang, man. For someone who wanted to play the big villain, he didn't rat on his people at the end. He cared for his fellow troop members. At this point, you're probably seeing the pattern here. Yeah, someone could chew a chunk out of someone's skull, but do they care about their squad? Then they're a real one. Just finished shooting up a city block, but you meowed at a cat? You're an angel. And now for the final member of the Phantom Troupe, we got Chrollo. His ranking is kinda tricky for me. I've already done a video on him, and as I've stated there, morality isn't a big thing for me when I'm looking at a character, but for the hell of it, I am gonna put this man in a tier. You can make the case that Chrollo should be on a dark continent along with Phaeton, but I'm not gonna put him there. But how can I possibly do that, right? After all, Chrollo is the leader. He's the one calling the shots. He gives the word and the Phantom Troupe are piling up bodies. He tells them to steal some shit and they're gonna steal some shit. Everything an organized group does typically comes down to the one in charge. He gave the green light on the Chrollo clan getting massacred, he okayed the Troupe embodying the Mafia at the auction in York New City, and he's willing to make his own home of Meteor City a safe haven for criminals so that he could reach the goal that he created for himself as a kid. But even despite all of that, Chrollo has a soft spot. And just like that, you know I gotta overlook all of the bullshit that he's done. Despite wanting members of the Phantom Troupe to put the spider first, believing that the spider can go on without its head, he cares more about his gang's well-being. The thug tears for Uvo, how depressed he looked after the fight in Heaven's Arena with Hisoka after learning that the clown had lived and killed Shalnark and Cortepe, and how they stood no chance against him considering that Chrollo borrowed their abilities. Not to mention how Chrollo is currently on a crash-out mission to find and kill Hisoka on the Black Whale. This man Chrollo truly cares. A lot. So I'm gonna overlook all of the wicked shit that he's done and put him in Bad Hunter. Yes, he has done some wild shit, but he cares about others. Oh man, the bar really is in hell in this video, isn't it? But I don't care. Razor. You're easily in life without parole. I know he was initially a death row convict, but to have been caught and given a second chance, and one of the things he does with his freedom is putting children in a dangerous life-threatening game of dodgeball, he's insane. I don't care what Jing told you to do. Razor, I don't care that he helped you and saw that you were worth giving a second chance to. You could have said no to that man. This is why I gotta big up Hisoka again. Hisoka is all for protecting the kids. I'm gonna mess around and give Hisoka his own tear hair, man. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I blame Jing and his group of friends who made this game that has a bunch of life-changing cards to use in the real world and not expect people to cheat the system. But still, the bomber and his homeboys chose to do the bullshit that they did. I can't see the bomber as a legitimate threat outside of Greed Island. I realize them tricking and using people should have me place him in a higher tier, especially for the shit I gave Cortepe. But when a game is actively hoeing you, I understand why someone would exploit its flaws to beat that game. He blew off Gon's arm and crushed his windpipe. Fuck him. He's going in Bad Hunter for harming a minor. And before someone says that Hisoka was harming Gon, he wasn't. He was just testing him and training him. That's all. My boy Pariston. I love this devious rat asshole. He is the ultimate troll. I've never seen a character who wanted to win and lose so badly at the same time. He's the troll that commenters online believe that they are with all of their absurd rage baiting and attention-seeking comments. He's the real deal. Now, because Pariston is difficult to read, as he wants to make everyone's lives difficult, it's tough to say what his goals truly are. Personally, him having an army of chimera ants is pretty nutty, and what he actually plans to use them for is kinda up in the air. I do need to see more of him, but based off of what I've seen thus far, I'm putting him at Bad Hunter. And that's simply based off of his position of power that he held in a hunter association for so long, and the questionable shit that he's done behind the scenes. But he definitely has potential to move up. Okay, the Royal Guards I'm gonna try and do quickly. It's difficult trying to hold non-humans, or rather chimera ants, to human standards. Even though Pito and Poof have some humans inside of them, opposed to Yuppie, who's a byproduct of magical beasts. Regardless, they were all doing their jobs. Although some were doing their jobs more so than others. Pito was loyal to Meruem, even after death. So I'm gonna leave the kitty and not too bad. Yuppie I'm also gonna leave there as well, despite him agreeing with Poof that they should get rid of Komugi in the end, but that was only out of anger. I also want to add that despite how human Pito and Yuppie both became at the end of their arcs, biologically they were still chimera ants, and they'll be judged as such. Now, Poof on the other hand, oh boy, the real villain of the arc. I had to place Poof in life without parole. He tried to manipulate the sole person that he cared for the most by keeping them on track in a path that they no longer showed any desire to continue walking down. If I'm Meruem, your king, allow me to change and grow. You can offer your advice, but don't try and change me into something I don't want to be. The sole reason why I won't place Poof and Banish to the Dark Continent is because I believe that he would enjoy that shit over there. It would feel just like home. Nah, all jokes aside, Poof's sense of loyalty and love for the king was warped in the sense that the king was perfect and didn't need a change. So he believed that he had to make sure that Meruem would maintain his perfection, and that started and ended with Komugi's life. Also, he tried attacking a minor. Maybe I should banish him to the Dark Continent just for that. Don't mess with my boy Killua. And now we have Meruem. Can I justify keeping him and not bad at all? His plan was to rule over humans. Then he changed his mind and decided that some lives were worth protecting, and how he would have made some people his livestock instead of just anyone all willy-nilly. He also did kill and eat a child, and I already placed people higher on the list for doing much less to minors. Fuck it. Bias over subjectivity. Alright. I'm going to put Meruem in not too bad. Again, he isn't an ordinary human. Yes, he became more human over the duration of the arc, but I refuse to judge the Ant King with human logic and laws. You know how animals and insects are born and they just know what the hell they gotta do moments after being born? Meruem was out here doing what he had to do. It's not like he was a regular human with human law to abide by and was brought up with a moral code to follow. Meruem was born for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to rule. When a lion attacks and eats a zebra, do we say, "Bad lion, don't do that"? No, we don't. So why should I do that to Meruem here? And for that reason, I gotta keep him at not too bad. Fight me about it. Alright, this one right here is a bonus. While Silva isn't an antagonist for our main boys, he is one of the worst fathers who gets the least amount of shit for it. I've already talked about it before in a prior video, but this man should be getting shat on far more than Jing. But whatever, man. The amount of murder that must have happened for this family to afford a whole ass mountain is nuts. But that's irrelevant. I'm easily putting this man in banished to the Dark Continent for child endangerment, poisoning, electrocuting, excruciating physical punishment. Hold this APR, bitch. And last but not least, we have Silva's oldest son. Now, I'm easily putting this fucker in banished to the Dark Continent as well. This is easily the easiest choice for this entire video. This man is a master manipulator, literally, and also with the way he tries to control Killua. Their parents don't even play mind games with Killua, but Illumi does. I do believe that while it's shown in a sick, twisted, and unhealthy way, Illumi does care about Killua. So that has to count for something, right? No it doesn't. Not when we're talking about Killua. Illumi wants to make sure that Killua stays safe. After all, Killua is supposed to take over the family business, and Illumi doesn't seem to harbor any ill will from that. But then Illumi wants to end up controlling his little brother so that he could ultimately control Alaka. I know I put Hisoka in not too bad, mostly for shits and giggles, but if Freak Boy over there thinks that Illumi is more messed up than him, that says a lot. You want to know the most unsatisfying part about this ranking? It's the fact that Illumi probably wouldn't even emote. He would just accept his situation and eventually die with no hint of emotion. Fuck you, Illumi. So, if you made it this far into the video, don't think that I hate any of these characters. Even Illumi's cooked-ass brain self, I still enjoy him. I know I didn't include this fucker over here, but I want to see what Togashi has cooking up in this next batch. And while he isn't the only antagonist in this current arc, I want to wait for it to finish before I even do another ranking. Anyway, this video's been running on for long enough, so stay safe out here, and I'll see you next time.